first want to urge City Council to reconsider its public comment policy. It is incredibly ableist and exclusionary to require folks to be in person to have their voices heard. Disabled people, elderly people, people without reliable transportation, houseless people with curfews, people with child and family obligations, and working people often cannot make it here. The ability to have email and voicemail comments is crucial, is pretty simple, and would drastically increase participation. I know none of you are opposed to hearing from more of your constituents, so I hope you'll prove me right that this body wants to encourage participation and will allow email and voicemail comments once again. I'd also like to take a moment to speak to the city's treatment of our unsheltered neighbors. Folks in 2 area encampments were given just 1 week to take whatever belongings they could carry and move. Only some of these people received temporary motel vouchers, which are set to expire in a few days. Some missed CSS workers the 1 day they were down at Grace Park. Others were outright denied vouchers because they did not have substance abuse problems. And an entire camp of 20 people were left in limbo with zero communication from the city and CSS. These people have nowhere to go. They've been destabilized and have been severely traumatized by the city's threat of violent displacement. It is psychological terror to threaten these people with dispossession. If any of you or the mayor were treated with the same way you treat houseless people, you would not tolerate it for a second. You would call that treatment a crime against humanity. But since none of you face houselessness, you could care less about the physical and mental toll the city's violent actions have on our most vulnerable people. The fact that y'all and the mayor sit here and do nothing for houseless folks while they are much more likely to be black, to be disabled, to have mental health issues, and to be queer tells me you truly do not care about these vulnerable populations. A good friend of ours who is disabled and has congestive heart failure has had a housing voucher for nearly a year now, but not a single landlord will accept him. He was never given a motel voucher the day CSS came to visit the folks at Grace Park. When he made the trek to CSS earlier this week, he was outright denied a voucher and told that ship had sailed. Today, when we took him to CSS once again, he was told the voucher coordinators wouldn't be available until Wednesday. Words cannot describe how disgraceful this treatment is. You all should be absolutely ashamed that you govern a city that treats its people so poorly. These people do nothing to anyone, but you and the mayor revel in torturing them and denying them the most basic of human rights. And I would love to be proved wrong on this, truly. But so far, your actions and the actions of your mayor scream apathy and contempt. I do appreciate Council Members Malik and Samples for their work on this issue, but the rest of you must do better. Thanks and have a good night.
Thank you so much. Gage Gallagher.
Hello? Okay, there we go. My name is Gage Gallagher, and I live at 166 North Portage Path in Ward 1, and I'd also like to speak about the houseless camps. I spent the better part of my morning this morning down in Grace Park helping these people get their tents out, take them somewhere else so that the city doesn't come through and take their stuff. And I talked to the people around there, and I spent some time down there with the folks, and it seems that even still, years later, since I myself have been houseless and moved out of that space, that the treatment that these people are receiving from the city is unacceptable. There are so many services that we offer, but they are all almost by design completely inaccessible by these people. We have vouchers that aren't being accepted. We have the only men's shelter in Akron, the Haven. It's not providing adequate support, and I know that from experience because I've been there. I have lived in there, and I have moved on, even to a point where I'm applying for public office positions and speaking with some folks like you guys just the other week. And I think that it's also, if we can't appeal to your hearts, let's try to appeal to your wallet. Right? We're spending all this money over and over and over for years and years and years, sending crews through to sweep out these encampments in these locations, and that's got to cost a lot of money, right? So why not take that money and stop doing that and push that money into more resources, more addiction services, more mental health services, stuff like secular shelters and sanctioned encampments to help solve this issue permanently. It seems so silly to me to keep wasting our time and spinning our wheels for a Band-Aid solution. It doesn't make any sense. And I implore you to think about that and to talk about that amongst yourselves at your next private meeting or whatever you all have, and take some action. It was me and 2 other people down there this morning, and it was just very, very disappointing. It was very sad to be helping all these people clear this out just by ourselves. And I had the opportunity earlier this week, or I guess it was last week now, to speak with the, I think it was called the screening committee, because I had applied for Ward 1. And I spoke with you all about building up our communities from the bottom, and this is what I meant. If we don't have a solid base, if we're not helping the people at the very bottom, people aren't going to want to come here. People aren't going to want to continue to move here as we develop out and leave the people at the bottom out. That's all I have to say. You guys have a good night.
Gage, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Colopy?
Well, thank you. Yes, I know Councilman Fusco asked that since the resolution has passed for National Pollinator Week, and thank you very much. I did send you written testimony, so I won't take any more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Harrington Hargrove?
Good evening, Council. It's a pleasure to be back in front of you, and I'm here in reference to the American Rescue Act and the Elevate Akron study. I would like the City of Akron to use a portion of that funding to correct the wrong that the Elevate Akron study found, that the City of Akron has excluded the Black community from economic opportunity. The Black and brown community has suffered the most with the coronavirus, more than anyone. So we are deserving of these funds. Now it's time for the City of Akron to allocate the necessary fundings to elevate the Black community for upward mobility. I live in Ward 3, and for 30 years I've been asking this council to invest in the Black community in Ward 3. We have been redlined of opportunity in a community where the city has spent over $100 million for business development. I'm asking the mayor, city council, and Margot Somerville, president of city council, to formulate a plan of inclusion for the Black community. Racism is a sin. I would like to have a meeting with the city officials to be a part of the solution of the problem that plagues the Black community. We have community leaders that can work with city leaders to make our community prosper and grow. So let us help make this happen. I thank you for your time, Council.